Hello, guys, and welcome to Odds on Europa League, match day 4. We have Dani and Alvaro. Hello, guys, to analyze 8 groups, 8 games with Dani, Alvaro, and with you. So remember as well to leave your comment tips for these 8 games or for the 16 games that we have on Thursday. And of course, press the like and subscribe. Let's go to analyze Group A, and here we have Bodø Glimt, Arsenal, the leader of the Premier League, going to Norway. They thrashed Bodø Glimt only 1 week ago, 3-0 at the Emirates. The streak of Arteta's men is amazing, Alvaro. Of course, if they rotated in the game at the Emirates, they will heavily rotate against Bodø Glimt. Remember also, Alvaro, this Arsenal have 6 points. They have to play next week against PSV.
Exactly. They next week, on paper, they should have been playing against Manchester City. But yeah, that game was postponed because, the Queen died. Then Arsenal didn't play in the Europa League. The
Queen died?
The Queen died. Yeah.
News.
Big news. The best of yesterday, tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. And that game was postponed, and they decided that the only game that could be actually postponed was the Manchester City game, but the Europa League had to go ahead as the group stage has to be played before the World Cup starts. Basically, that's the reason why. So they are going to
I can tell you what. This is a bad news for Arsenal, because now was a good moment to play Man City.
Oh, yeah. We're thinking about it as well. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The other day against Liverpool, they offered a hell of a display, really, and they beat Liverpool 3-2 in the Premier League. You are very right, Edu, about the substitutions and all that, because Mikel Arteta has a lineup for the Premier League and another one for the Europa League. And, in the Europa League, many players have the chance to say, here I am, just pick me, If I do a good job in the Europa League, hopefully I will end up having a start in the Premier League. But against Liverpool, Mikel Arteta did 3 substitutions. He could have done 5, but he did 3, and 2 of them were in injury time. So that tells you that Mikel Arteta has very clear ideas. There is a team for the Premier League and there is another team for the Europa League. But anyway, we have to say that maybe the Premier League form doesn't apply to the Europa League. That's true, because the teams are totally different. Arteta is rotating heavily, but at the same time, being so good in the Premier League must be setting a certain good mood in the camp. And I think that this is showing as well in the Europa League. Arsenal is playing with ease. They are playing with confidence. Nketiah is scoring, for example. Vieira is doing very good performances in the Europa League. That's why they are having some, maybe we can say, small minutes in the Premier League, but at the end of the day, this is important for them. Look, now they have 2 games in a row in the Europa League, and this is very important for Arsenal. If they beat Bodo and PSV in Doven, they are very likely to go through. That's for sure. And I think that here at Bodo, they should beat them. I mean, Bodo has 4 points. They tend to concede as of late. In fact, they got only 2 clean sheets in the last 10 games. And Arsenal beat them, I wouldn't say very comfortably, but they showed that they were better than them. They showed them who was boss. So, in this game, I could expect Arsenal to win it, but I can go for an Asian handicap positive for Bodø Glimt. Maybe Asian handicap plus 1.5 for Bodø. 170. I like this one. I think that this is good enough. And let's don't forget that there is another important group at the other side of the important game at the other side of the group, which is PSV Zurich. I mean, PSV is doing very well. Gakpo is playing fantastically. Gakpo is going to be in London next week, and they say today, AS says, the newspaper, that Gakpo interests Real Madrid. So let's see what happens there. Anyway, that said, I have to say that Arsenal has to beat Bodø Glimt and then play for the first position against PSV in a week time. I believe in Arsenal, and an Asian handicap plus 1.5 for Bodø is good enough for me.
At the Emirates, Arsenal were relentless. They won it basically in the first half last week against Bodø Glimt. Bodø Glimt took a lot of chances in the second half. Bodø had a few chances, but Arsenal now are very good at closing game down. It's the maturity, the experience. I think the Europa League has been a great platform for players like Vieira, Nketiah to develop. When you look at the Arsenal numbers, they scored 10 goals less than City in the Premier League. They scored 23. They conceded City one more, 10 compared to 9. Most of the Arsenal games are very high intensity, very high scoring. I looked at the last 9 of Arsenal games, only 3 clean sheets, and in the remaining 6 that Arsenal got a good result, unless when they lost to Manchester United, all 6 games have been both to score. So normally Arsenal tend to win by 1 goal or more in high scoring game at the moment. That's why it's so nice, so exciting to see them. But of course, when probably the opposition will step up as well, and we'll see with a game against Man City. Let's see how they cope, because you can't always score one more than the others. You need to also keep the door shut a little bit. I think for this one, I still like the fact that Bodø at home are a positive team. Last year showed us in the Conference League how good they played. They're gonna play obviously in Denmark, in the plastic pitch. Some people don't like it. I think it's gonna be difficult for Arsenal. If there is one that I like mostly, it's both to score here. 181.
All right.
A very quick thing. The other day they were asking us in our channel, what's the Asian handicap? So I feel like maybe I have to explain the Asian handicap plus 1.5 for this game very quickly. I mean, if Arsenal wins, you win. If Bodø wins, you win. If Bodø draws, you win. And if Bodø loses by 1, you get your win as well. So for you to know that this
we have a video in our channel. If you type it, you will see it explained carefully. This Asian handicap, very important for betting. Let's go to Group B, and here we have Rennes, the favorite for this group, together with Fenerbahce, visiting Dynamo Kiev with 0 points. Dynamo Kiev, but they've lost all the games only with 1 goal difference. Actually, in France, they lost in the last minute. Only 1 victory, Dani, in the last 12 Europa League games, and 5 consecutive defeats for Dynamo Kiev. Awful stats for them in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, they carry out the bad form they had last season in the Champions League, lost the last 2 European games at home as well, won at the weekend 3-0. Of course, at the moment, football matters relatively less in Ukraine, considering what's happening. So it's very difficult to judge the performances at home and away from home. But, against Rennes last week, they only lost in the last minute. So they gave Rennes a good game. And this Rennes is a very informed team. They're unbeaten in 9. They scored in all but 1 game this season, 12 out of 13. So the only game they didn't score was the 7th of August. And then they always scored. And, they got players that are in form. I mean, Guri, goal and assist at the weekend. He's finding the net more and more. They are clearly improving at the weekend. 3-0 against Nantes, who's the other side that plays in the Europa League for France. That was the Breton derby, and they were clear winners. Rennes started well. 3 wins, if I'm not wrong. 3 wins from 3 in the group. They don't necessarily have to win this one. It's a long trip. It's a bit difficult midweek, maybe a few rotations. It's very difficult to really pick a bet for this one. But you could possibly think a double chance for Dynamo Kiev, 1x 208. You got 2 results out of 3. Is a decent return. So I'm going to go for a 1x 208.
Because Rennes, they suffer a little bit more when they are playing away. When they are at Rawson Park, they are really informed. They even beat Nantes 3-0 in Ligue 1 at the weekend, Alvaro.
Yes, they did. I think that this is a good moment for them. I think that I have to back them, really. At the end of the day, they are doing very well in this competition. They won the reverse fixture. And then I don't think that they were million times better than Dynamo Kiev, but they knew how to capitalize their mistake. I mean, especially the second goal of Rennes came after a mistake of Dynamo playing from the back. But yeah, they knew how to capitalize this, and good sides normally know how to punish you. Rennes and Fenerbahce will go through with a win. So I think that this has to be an stimuli for the French side. And Rennes has been unbeaten for 9 games now. They are 4th in their league, and they've got very well-balanced numbers. This is something that I do like about them here. They have scored 20, they have conceded 9, in the Europa League 6 and 4. So basically, they've got positive goal differences both in the Europa League and in the French League, and the signings are kind of working as well. They spent in summer 45 million in 2 players, which is quite a lot. I mean, in Spain, only 3 sides can spend so much, really, seriously. And they pay 45 for Calimuendo and Thit, and both are playing. Starting Joe Rodon is there on loan as well. So this is a team that has invested a little bit too, and it's working for them so far. They haven't lost since August, and now they are traveling to Krakow. Well, I don't know, Dani, if this is such a long trip, to be honest with you, from France to Krakow. Anyway, I don't think that this is the distance is going to be a handicap for Rennes. And Dynamo Kiev, I mean, in my opinion, is a little bit pointless to analyze their tactics and the way they are doing, because basically on Monday, Russia started bombing Kiev, and I'm sure that many players have their minds there. So Dynamo Kiev are not terrible, by the way. They have lost every game, but only by 1 goal. So, you know, they have been competitive, and they put a good shift in the Europa League every time they have to play. I'm going to go for Rennes to win. 185. At the end of the day, Dynamo Kiev is not exactly playing at home. They are playing in Poland. And I like the goals market over 2.25 goals, 171. Why? Because Rennes is scoring many. They have scored 29 already this season. That's a lot. I was expecting probably this side to score less goals at this stage of the competition.
Fenerbahce playing against Larnaca in Cyprus. If Fenerbahce and Rennes win, both are through to the next round, Group C. And here, Roma can be in trouble, Alvaro, because as you said in our previous video, Betis won at the Olímpico. It was a hell of a odd, actually, for Betis to win at the Olímpico. And Roma now they have more problems because Dybala got injured when he scored the penalty against Lecce. This is a massive blow for Roma, especially because Belotti cannot score goals with the Giallorossi T-shirt. What do you expect in this Betis-Roma? As I said, Roma, if they lose, they can be in trouble because Ludogorets, they are playing at home against Helsinki, and Ludogorets are ahead of Roma right now.
Basically, if Roma loses and Ludogorets wins, then Roma doesn't depend on their own results to qualify. So this is a little bit of a dangerous one for Jose Mourinho's men. My eyes go straight to the draw. It looks very appealing. It pays 357 right now, 357. But still, I don't tend to pick draws. I just don't like them normally. I prefer the goals market. I prefer the full-time result with a win or a loss. But anyway, the draw for 357 sounds to me like a sensible thing, actually, this time. Betis, they didn't win in the weekend. They drew 0-0 with Valladolid. That game shouldn't have been scheduled so early in the morning on Sunday, that's for sure. And then Betis got a positive result against Valladolid. In my opinion, it was very commendable because they played 65 minutes a man down after Petzela was sent off. And it's a good moment for Betis, actually. Against Roma, I think that it could have gone either way, seriously, honestly, because Roma had good chances as well. But then Luis Enrique, the Brazilian player, scored a beautiful goal, a beautiful header to give Betis the lead and the win at Roma's ground. I think that it's a good moment for Betis. If Betis wins, basically they'll be qualified, that's for sure. And you know, I think that they can do it this time. I mean, no side has never qualified with less than 10 points. With more than 10 points. I mean, in the Europa League, in the history of this competition, if you get 10 points in the group stage, you qualify. So probably Betis is aiming for this, and I think that they are going to top the group unless Roma wins this time. Roma, I think that they can be very dangerous. I think that in the knockout stages, I wouldn't like to play against them, but now in the group stage, look at last season, for example, in the Conference League, they dropped plenty of points, but then when it came to April, when it came to March, they started becoming dangerous. This is not maybe the moment for them to become dangerous. I could go for both teams to score. I like that one. In fact, I'm going to keep that one for my bets, 176. I'm not going for the draw, even though I'm flagging that because that is very appealing or looks very appealing to me. And I like the corners market here. I think that Betis are going to attack slightly more. Roma will be happy maybe with a point, could be happy with a point, but Asian handicap corners plus 0.5 for Betis, which is not a lot really. Basically one more corner for Betis than for Roma. That pays 179. I'm staying there.
The fact with Roma is that they don't score many, or they don't score many for the kind of attacks they produce, the number of attacks, the number of expected goals they produce. And this has been a problem also last season. Obviously, without Dybala, they don't know for how long. He might even miss the World Cup. There's a bit of a doubt there. The thing with Roma is that they cannot always rely.
Was he going to play anyway? Was he going to go with Argentina? That's the big question for me.
He's always injured when there is a FIFA.
He's the big question. He's a player that has missed so many games in the last 2 years and a half. So he comes with a huge question mark. The thing with Roma, but he was the best player Roma had. And he changed them, and he gave them a lot of spark, a lot of creativity, created a lot of chances. Now without him, and with Abraham not scoring, only 2 goals in 9, hasn't scored in the last 5, Belotti 0 goals, Shomudorov 0 goals. They cannot just rely on set pieces, which by the way, they're very good, headers. They need something else. And I think the presence of Dybala in a way has dried up the contribution from others. Like you look at the likes of Pellegrini last season were so influential. Now it looks like almost he's taking less risks. He prefers to pass the ball to Dybala. They need more from him. Zaniolo is going to be missing, of course, because he got sent off. He's been unreliable as well. But if you look at the results of Roma, they're very good. They're only -4 from Napoli, and Napoli are flying in Serie A. So they got more points than last season. And yes, of course, in Europe, they've been disappointing, but I think against Betis, they didn't deserve to lose. There are so many chances in the second half, and the goal at the end came a little bit out of nothing. The good side for Roma is that they won 5 games this season only by 1 goal margin. So they are good at winning in tight margins, but they need to get a result here. And it's going to be difficult, I think. It's going to be probably a low-scoring game, I would imagine. Very difficult to bet on. You could go maybe for a double chance for Roma. But I'm going to like Betis to score the first goal, 195. I was impressed by the way they kept the ball and the way they moved it around. 195, Betis to score first.
You mentioned the set pieces. We have to flag here Chris Smalling scoring 2 goals recently. He's adapted very well to Italy. He even can speak Italian. He did it in the post-game interview. And it's a hell of a signing for Roma already last season. Well, this Betis Roma, again, the best game in my opinion on Thursday. But we have more games. For instance, Group D, we had Royal Union Saint-Gilloise. Dani has a friend in Brussels that tells him
dear friend.
What is going on about this team. Dani, tell me, because 9 points, able to win at Braga, and this is always very difficult in the Europa League. Braga is an expert in this competition, although 3 consecutive defeats for the Portuguese side, counting also with the Primera Liga games, and Saint-Gilloise, well, in great form, 5 consecutive victories.
Yeah, I think there's been the story of last season in Europe. This, by the way, the Union Saint-Gilloise Braga is the hipster game. I think is the one that really, the great knowledgeable people gonna watch. But Union Saint-Gilloise, the story of last season, really, they contested the title to Bruges till the very end. This is a team that has been missing from European football for 60 years. Is owned by the same owner of Brighton. They've got a project there. They invested a lot, bringing players from overseas, bringing new players, a young player, and it is working. Despite this season, they missed the manager who went to Anderlecht, they missed Mitoma, they missed Undav who went back to Brighton. So it is a very much a new team in a way, but they keep doing really, really well. 3-5-2, the wing backs, Lapusina, Dingra, they push a lot. Vanzire, Boniface up top. Boniface is a very quick player, and then you got a British centre back, Sam Burgess, who scores a lot also in Europe, and in England only played up to League One Championship level. I think I remember playing for Peterborough United. Scored 27 goals in 11 games, Union Saint-Gilloise so far this season, so over 2 goals per games, and they are in a winning streak. Won 5 in a row, won 8 of the last 11, and of the last 11 games, 9 of these have been over 2.5 goals and both to score. So when you watch them, you are almost certain they're going to score a couple. The opposition might score 1. So it always finishes often finishes both to score and over 2.5 goals. And domestically, they started slowly, also because let's not forget, they started the season in July when they played the knockout stages of the Champions League against Rangers, who they beat at home 2-0, and then they went to Ibrox and were played off the park, lost 3-0. So they started the season a bit slowly, but now they are level on table with Bruges domestically, because Antwerp is doing so well domestically as well. And, they came back against Braga. They were losing 1-0 until the 91st minute. They won 2-1. They came back against Malmo. They were losing. They won. They beat Union Berlin away, playing really, really well. So it is a team that I like watching. It is a team that plays on the front foot. And we know Braga, how dangerous they could be. And it's a team also that likes to play attacking football. So for this one, I'm going to stick to exactly what happened in the previous game. Over 2.5 goals. The odds are too good to be true for me. 199.
If Braga lose, there is still a chance for Union Berlin, a team that won in Sweden, Alvaro. So Braga also need at least a point, and they have to go to Berlin, actually, still in this Europa League.
Yeah, this group is contested. It's nice. Like many others in the Europa League, really. I think that Saint-Gilloise is one of the nicest stories of the Europa League, as well as Brugge is one of the nicest stories in the Champions League. Saint-Gilloise beat Feyenoord 4-0 in summer, and I thought that it was some sort of anecdote. But looking back now, it was a warning probably. I know that it was a friendly, but beating Feyenoord 4-0, the team that reached the Conference League final, and beating them in summer, it was something that shouldn't go overlooked. That set the tone perhaps for the remainder of the season. And Saint-Gilloise, and right now, is in a very good moment. I mean, they got 5 wins in a row. It's true that they concede, because in those 5 wins they have conceded in 4 games. That's why the goals market that Daniele flags is so appealing that I'm going to pick the same one. I think that in the reverse fixture at Braga, I think that Braga deserves a little bit more, really. And Abel Ruiz had a clear chance for the 2-0. He missed it. And then Saint-Gilloise just came back in the game and ended up winning it with a brace from Nilsson. But I think that Braga deserves more as well. And Braga scores many goals. By the way, maybe this is a hipster game, but not from next season onwards, because Braga has been bought, or 20% of Braga has been bought by PSG owners. So we will have to have a look into that, because it's going to be interesting, the development of Braga in the Portuguese league and how they are going to use that investment from Qatar. Let's see, really. This is something to follow. The news broke on Monday. Braga has been winless in 3 games in a row. It's true that they are trying a lot. They attack. They had 30 attempts in the weekend, and they still lost 1-0 to Chavez. So the intention is there. The spirit is there. For whatever the reason, they are not able to score. Abel Ruiz is not scoring as many as he should, because he is not a very prolific scorer, and he's the main man up front, or one of the main men, sorry. So I'm going to go for over 2.5 goals, because Saint-Gilloise is in a very good form, but they concede. And because Braga are attacking a lot. So over 2.5 goals, 195.
All right, group very contested. This group D is not very contested. Group E can be over if Man United beat Omonia, as we expect, and Real Sociedad beat Sheriff. Alvaro, let's analyze Man United Omonia. I challenge you to find good odds for here. It was a very bad game by the Red Devils, by the way, in Cyprus. A lot of jokes about Cristiano Ronaldo missing chances, and luckily for the Portuguese, at least he scored in the Premier League on Sunday.
700 goals in his club career for Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, the achievement is there, incredible. I think that Manchester United won or beat Omonia just because they had better players. It happens a lot sometimes that even your side is poor, has a poor display, and then the good players end up just making the difference for you. I think that against Omonia, the likes of Rashford or Martial were fantastic, really, and they were very prolific as well, and they were very clinical too. In this game, obviously, find a good odds is difficult because the difference in quality, the gulf in quality is pretty big between Manchester United and Omonia. The rotations of Manchester United don't necessarily affect the team too much, because this is not like Arsenal. a side that has a very good starting lineup, fantastic, top in the Premier League, and then a bench that is not so good. I think that Manchester United perhaps is a little bit more balanced when it comes to the subs or whoever starts. There are some players who are still trying to make it in the starting lineup, and they have a great chance of making it. And maybe in late or in early November, you see the lineup of Manchester United, and it's not the lineup that you will say this is the best ideal lineup of Manchester United. So, they got some players who can actually break the roof. Omonia, they lost in their own league. They got 0 points in the Europa League. They have conceded 8 in 3 games. I think that they can be a toy in Manchester United's hands. And the other day, by the way, they didn't play bad against Manchester United, but Manchester United has better players, and the good players at the end impose their quality. But here, I think that the money is in the goals market, and I'm going to stick to one half only. I think that Manchester United can kill the game in the second half, or even more, can enhance the scoreline in the second half. So over 1.75 goals in the second half in the game, over 1.75 goals in the second half, pays 175. I stick there.
The good thing is with Man United is, despite being trashed by Man City and was a complete fiasco, that didn't let affect them, because against Everton they were behind and they came back into the game. Losing 2 games back to back would have been really, really seriously. So it was a good reaction. At one point in the second half, United had like 70% possession against Everton, and Everton only had 1 shot on target. So they were good despite going behind, and good reaction and good 3 points. So they're gonna challenge for top 4 for sure, Manchester United, and they need to see through this Europa League stage. And maybe it's not really appealing to them. It's not really motivating them. Look, they're gonna win against Omonia Nicosia. I mean, Omonia Nicosia only won 1 game out of 27 European games played, and only won 2 games away in 36 in the history. They beat Ajax, but not Ajax, Rabat Ajax in 1985 and Shamrock Rovers in 1987. So that goes really, we were very young back then. To find the value, maybe Man United scores a couple in the first half, scores 1 in the second half, gets 3-0 up, and then took the foot off the gas. For this reason, I'm going to go Omonia Nicosia, Asian handicap plus 1.5 in the second half, 185. So if they lose the second half by 1 goal, you still win 185.
Let's move on to the next group, a funny one, Group F, everyone with 4 points. Dani, time to analyze Lazio Sturm Graz. This Lazio is also flying with Sarri on the bench, 0-4 against Fiorentina on Monday, free flow scoring, but they have to win also in the Europa League, at least to challenge for the title next year in 2023. Sturm Graz, 1 game away, 6-0, they lost to Feyenoord.
Look, and Lazio struggled to impose the rhythm at Graz. Graz were better at pressing. Lazio kind of woke up late. They had a few chances, but they didn't do great. So again, it's that inconsistency, because now, yesterday, they went to Firenze, won 4-0, and they were fantastic. Scored 4 against Fiorentina. Fiorentina struggling. They scored already 21 goals in Serie A. And the nice thing is that not only Immobile and Milinkovic-Savic are scoring, now there are more goal scorers. There is Zaccagni, there is Romagnoli, there is Vecino, there is Luis Alberto. So out of a sudden, not just Immobile takes it all, and that can be only a good news for Sarri. They are unbeaten at home in 6 European games, and actually in Europe they've done so, but 7 out of the wins in Europe have been come at the Olimpico. So when they travel, they're not great, Lazio, and I think that's because it's a team in transition that is still improving under Sarri. But when they play at home, you can be sure that they're going to put a good performances. This year at home, they beat Inter 3-1 very well. They beat Feyenoord 4-2, and they were really good for 50 minutes. Against Napoli, they lost, but they were unlucky. They should at least got a draw. So unless there is a problem with the turnover and the changes that Sarri makes, I can only see Lazio being hugely favorite. So I'm going to go for half-time, full-time Lazio. Pays really, really, really well, 220.
Indeed, because Lazio to win can be a safe bet as well, 1.52, or to add to Naka, Alvaro.
Yeah, and I'm going to stay with Lazio to win and over 1.5 goals. That pays 167. And I'm going to stay there, really. By the way, Lazio maybe need to needs to score as many as possible because this group is very, very tight. As you can see, every side has 4 points. And Lazio, imagine that the tightness stays until the end. Lazio needs to have a positive head-to-head, at least against two sides, because otherwise they will be out. Because in the Europa League, if you're level on points, that is what counts. What is your head-to-head with the other side? So I think that this is the time for Lazio to have a positive head-to-head with the Sturm Graz. So I think that they are going to win, really, an over 1.5 goal. Altogether, you put it 167, and yeah, I can stay there.
Lazio still have to play at home against Midtjylland, so winning these two games, they will go through to the last 16 round. Group G. We have Nantes, Freiburg. Nantes, they are awful in League and Dani, Alvaro, they are penultimate right now. Another defeat in the weekend, and Freiburg is still second in the Bundesliga after the draw against Hertha. Freiburg to win 2.1 if we trust the favorite here.
Yeah, it's an interesting game, actually. Freiburg away this season. Well, they are doing okay-ish, but they haven't lost away in the last 5. So why not to think that they can go to France, actually, and inflict a defeat to their opponents. I mean, Freiburg to win 2.1. I'm going to stay there. I think that they are favorites for this game because Nantes, they are going through a really, really bad time. They have lost 7 of their last 8 games, and they have beaten Olympiacos in the process, but anyone beats Olympiacos right now. Anyone. Karabakh scored 3 goals against them at Piraeus the other day. So I think that Nantes is in a bad moment, as I mean, in relegation zone in France. And Freiburg is fantastic in Germany so far. I mean, the surprise of the season is obviously Union Berlin. But what about Freiburg, who are only 2 points behind the leaders of the Bundesliga? So I'm going to go for the German side to win, and it doubles up your bet, basically. So go for it.
I think last season shows us that Nantes are not such a great force in France football. They lost 13 league games last season in Ligue 1. They finished mid-table. They won the Coupe de France by beating Nice 1-0. But then if you look at how they got to the final, they beat Monaco on penalties. They beat Brest. They beat Bastiaus for Ligue 2 team. So they never play really the top teams. And, Freiburg is second, as Alvaro mentioned, has got 2 more points than Bayern. Nantes always conceding in the last 8 European games. I think there is a gulf there in class and experience, but maybe they're going to come out and play a little bit more and try to win the game. For this reason, it is difficult for this one. Over 2.5 goals, 2-11.
A draw should be enough also for Freiburg. With 10 points, they are almost through. We have to take this in consideration. And we have Karabakh Olympiacos also interesting because Olympiacos lost again, as Alvaro was saying, 0-3. And the last group, Group H, we have here Monaco on top with 6 points together with Ferencváros. And Monaco, Dani, traveling to Trabzonspor is always tough to go to Turkey, to the house of the champions. Monaco is still in great form, 2.4 if we trust them.
7 wins out of the last 8 for Monaco. It looks like Clement has found the right system, 4-2-2, putting together Ben Yedder and Embolo, Golovin behind. One day scores Ben Yedder, the other day scores Embolo. They give assist to each other in the reverse fixture. They were really good. After 55 minutes, they were already 3-0, 50 Ligue 1. They are improving. Now, they never won back-to-back European games since 2015, Monaco, so that tells you how inconsistent they've been, how poor they've been in Europe, but they do score. It's a good team. They just have to click, and we said it last season as well. If they click, could be a really good side, maybe looking at getting into the Champions League for next season. Over 2.5 goals, again, 191.
Also, a draw would be a good result for Monaco, Alvaro.
It will be good, certainly, and I think that they can win here. Actually, the group of Monaco is the tightest, by the way. I mean, this group is really contested right now. But Trabzonspor is playing without Maxi Gomez because he was sent off in the previous game. They are 7th in the league, and Monaco are flying. It's not only that Ben Yedder is scoring, also Embolo, as Daniele said, and they are so different. Ben Yedder is a striker in the box, a good striker in the box. Embolo is the kind of player hybrid midfielder, a striker who can actually progress with the ball and take on anybody in any part of the pitch. I really like the Swiss player. I'm going to go for an Asian handicap minus 0.25 for Monaco. That's good enough. 1.8, but there is another that I want to flag here. A double chance for Monaco, x2, and over 2.5 goals. You put that all together, is 2.6.
Wow, that's good.
Wow, that's not bad at all. Alvaro, tell me your best bet for this Thursday.
The safe bet, Lazio to win, 1.5.
I mentioned it before. Dani, yours?
For our friends in Bulgaria, Ludogorets to win against Helsinki, 161.
And we have a lot in Bulgaria.
Many.
Your ACCA, Dani?
Feyenoord to win. Real Sociedad, Asian handicap -1. Ferencváros, Red Star, both team to score. Union Berlin to win, total odds 580.
And yours, Alvaro?
PSV to win and over 2.5 goals. Lazio to win. Real Sociedad and over 1.5 goals. Union Berlin and over 1.5 goals. Altogether 491.
Good luck to everyone. Enjoy Europa League. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Ciao.